Hello, and welcome back. I'm Shakia, and in this week's episode, we are going to recap Love After Lockup, season 5, episode 38, Hide and Seek. Oh, I guess because a lot of them are hidden away. You're my little secret. That's what's going on with a few of them, and we see that in this week's episode. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. First up, we have Troy and Zariah. So at this point, Troy finally makes his way back to the house. I think it's been 2 episodes since he's been at that house. He finally makes his way back to the house, and as he approaches, he can hear his mom, Karen, and Zariah going back and forth because Zariah is in the room. She closed the door. She may have been in this room for about 2 episodes too. But she closed the door and she can hear Karen. So initially, she can hear Karen on the phone with Yana. Who is Yana? That is Troy's ex girlfriend, mother of his child. That's who Yana is. Yana tells Karen that Zariah had an affair. And you hear Karen say, "Oh my God, what? I got to talk to Zariah about this." Well, apparently, she already knew. Karen already knew. And that pisses Zariah off even more. We hear Zariah on the phone with her sister, and she's like,
This some bull. Why are they talking about me? Why is Yana in my business?
and then Zariah lets us know eventually that she did, in fact, have an affair. She said, look, she felt weak. Okay. And Troy had been in prison for a few years. At this point, they had been married for a few years, and I guess she needed a little love and affection. She ended up falling for somebody else and sleeping with them. She said Troy knew. And in fact, Karen also knew. And she goes, I don't know why Karen is making this a big deal, like she's just hearing this for the first time, because apparently when Karen heard about it, she said, oh, well, look, Zariah, I guess she's better than me because I'm not holding nobody down. I'm not holding nobody down. I can see Karen saying that. I feel like that is absolutely something Karen would say. So, but also, why does Yana know? And why is Yana telling Karen this? So, who told Yana? Was it Troy? That doesn't sit well with Zariah. She is screaming and going off. Troy eventually makes his way in the house. He knocks on the door of the room that she's in. She's barricaded herself in. And she opens the door, throws the ring, and says, "Get the F out of my house." The ring lands on the floor. And these camera people are so petty. They zoom. They do a zoom in up close on this ring on the floor. So she's still yelling and screaming. Eventually, later in the episode, well, they start the episode off with Zariah and Troy, excuse me, and then they end the episode with Zariah and Troy. And Zariah is still screaming. And she's saying that she doesn't understand why they're talking about her and why they're talking about this situation because Troy knew what was up. And Troy told her that they were starting anew. They were starting over, clean slate. Maybe clean slate because when Zariah was dipping it and doing it while Troy was incarcerated, maybe Troy was dipping it and doing it while he was incarcerated, right? With Yana. Maybe she was coming to visit him. I don't know. Allegedly. Was there a CO? I don't know. Allegedly. I don't know. But I'm just curious. Was he willing to say, hey, let's start over, let's have a clean slate because he also was doing something that he shouldn't have been doing? I guess we'll find out. But anyway, Zariah is still yelling at him, and the producers are by the door, knocking on the door. Hey, because at this point, now Troy is in the room with her. But before he came in the room, she's yelling at him, "Get the in here. Get in here." And he's like, not if you're going to be talking like this. And she's like, what? Get the in here. And he enters the room and she slams the door shut. Absolutely not. If I were Troy, I would have been like, look, because we got to learn how to have boundaries with people and we got to learn to enforce those boundaries. And even though we can't control what somebody does and how they respond, we absolutely get to have boundaries. Troy could have said, I know you want to talk, and I see that you're upset, and I want to talk to you about whatever's going on, but I can't talk to you like this. So whenever you are ready, when you can speak to me in a way that's more respectful, then we can absolutely continue that conversation. I didn't hear that. I just heard her yelling at him, yelling at the top of her freaking lungs. So, get in here, she says. Get in here. He goes, and she's still screaming and yelling. This pissed me off. I do not like the way she speaks to him. It's in a belittling, like it's in a tone that's demeaning. And if this were the other way around, if Troy were screaming at her, people would call for a boycott. People would say she's abused. That people would say he's abusive and all of these things. Listen, uh, same scenario. The way she was speaking to him was completely unnecessary. It was disrespectful, and it's not okay. Man or woman, that's not how we operate. But that's none of my business. um, so she's screaming at him. Apparently, from what we saw, again, 2 episodes back to back, they still didn't make it out of the home. So I guess he's not going to get a chance to go visit his daughter. And yeah, she does seem to be making a big deal about a lot of things. Now I get it. She doesn't understand why is his ex bringing this up about her affair, which I understand. That absolutely would infuriate me as well. However, the way she's going about it is just, it's not okay. They're not going to accomplish anything. She's erratic right now. And I guess they're not going to go to Buffalo to visit his daughter. And in a previous episode, she said, and I don't want nobody thinking it's about me, thinking I'm keeping him from his daughter. Well, in a way, you are. Because look at this performance. I don't like how she speaks to him. She always, like, she has an attitude. I don't like it. And now, here's what I will say though. We probably will find out that there was something going on. Because again, how does Yana know this information? Unless Karen told her and now they're retelling it as if they didn't know, neither one of, come on now, what is happening? So we probably will find out that there was something still occurring while he was incarcerated between him and Yana. Maybe continue conversation that didn't have anything to do with their daughter. We absolutely might find that out. So we will see. That's Troy and Zariah. Next up, we have drum roll. We have True and Shantae. This they open the episode, or the episode opens with them. So after Troy and Zariah, we see Shantae and True, and he apparently went out. He bought the twins some things. Shantae says, "Oh, I think that's great. I didn't have to tell you. Okay, cool." However, we also find out that True made his way into Shantae's bed after Shantae said, "You gonna sleep out here." Right? He has to sleep out on the couch. She doesn't want to sleep with, and she doesn't want him to sleep in the bed with her because they're not there yet. Every time I think Shantae is going to stand on business, that she's going to stand by what she says, she does the opposite. She does the opposite. She does it again, and you'll hear why. You'll hear what I mean. So she lets him know that she has a an appointment coming up, an ultrasound appointment. And he says, "Okay, cool." But she says, "I don't want you to come in the room with me because I don't want to share these special moments with you if I'm not sure where we are." Cool. Cool. So he drives her. On the way, they're talking about names, and he said, "Well, we can name, since they're twins, we can name them True and Trudy." She said, "Absolutely not." So they get to the place. He says, "You sure you don't want me to come in?" She says, "Yeah, I'm good. You stay out here. Once we figure this out, you can come to a future appointment, or to future appointments." She goes in, and I can already tell. She gets checked in. She's in the room waiting to be seen. She is literally in the room waiting to be seen. And then I can see she gets up. She starts pacing. Eventually, she lets them know, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to reschedule." Why are you rescheduling? You are already there. Either FaceTime him or let him come in or just go through with the appointment because, ma'am, you are already there. But she doesn't go through with the appointment. She says that she's going to reschedule. She goes out. True says, how was everything? She goes, everything's fine. The twins are good. No concerns. She never saw the doctor. She never had an ultrasound done. So she lies. So they just lie to each other about all sorts of stuff. And she says she's not sure if she wants to let True know that there was no ultrasound done. Why? Why? Stand by what you do. Okay, so she didn't go through with the ultrasound. Fast forward in the episode, True meets her kids and her grandkids. And they're having family game night, and it looks like fun. They're having a good time. And listen, no tea, no shade to True, but he's a big kid. And so he seemed to have interacted well with her family. It was lovely. Then her best friend shows up, and you know her best friend is gonna do what best friends do. They're gonna be like, look, what's really going on? This is my homie. This is my girl. This is my best friend, my sister friend. I wanna make sure she's good. So her friend is just asking him all the questions. And Shantae just sitting there like, yeah, what is he gonna say? so so the best friend is asking the questions, and they're talking about somehow the conversation of going to future appointments comes up. He says, well, I'm glad you brought that up because there is something that I need to tell you. Drum roll. What does he share? He shares that he does not know if he will be able to make it to future appointments because there's a possibility that he will be placed on house arrest or he will be arrested. Why? Because he violated probation. Which this isn't a surprise. Remember when he was first released and Shantae was saying you need to go see your PO and he
It's like, why? Why? I'm gonna do what I want.
that's why you got arrested the first time. Come on now, True. But he's like, he's gonna do what he want, you know? He doesn't have to listen to anybody. He doesn't like people telling him what to do. Sir, I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need you to get it together because you know if you have a PO, there are things you absolutely need to do so that you don't catch a violation. Clearly, you didn't follow through because what? You caught a violation. So now, see, like my PO violated me. So now he has to go to court. He lets Shantae know the night before that he wants her to go with him. I think he wants her to go with him so that she could show up with him and then he could say, "See, I got kids that I got to take care of. My girlfriend is pregnant," right? I think he wants them to see a certain side of him so they don't judge him so harshly on this parole violation. She says, "You want me to just uproot everybody's life because you want me to go with you because you did some stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah, duh, you know? Duh." And she's like, "I don't know." But of course she goes. She drives her own car because so she drives her car, she follows behind him because he says, "Well, if I do go in, she has to have a way to get back home." Ma'am, why are you going? Ma'am, you are pregnant with kids. You got kids here that you need to see about. Why are you following after him? Come on, Shantae. Shantae, come on, girlie. You seem like such a sweet person. Like you do. You seem like a cool chick. And I'm rooting for you. But I need you to get it together. Get it together, Shantae. So, oh, but on the way back to his hometown, he's speeding, okay? He eventually loses Shantae because he's in front. She's following behind him. He loses her. He meets up with some woman in the parking lot and he says that this is his friend. He says, "Well, Shantae knows I got a lot of female friends. She ain't got nothing to worry about. So then why are we being so secretive? If she has nothing to worry about, True, why didn't you tell her what you were doing?" We hear the conversation, we hear bits and pieces of the conversation. They're talking about a coat. "Oh, that looked nice on you. Oh, this the coat you wanted?" Ba 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 ba. But why, if it's innocent, why not tell Shantae? Unless, is it a surprise for Shantae? And that's why you didn't want to tell her? Maybe it's a surprise. You think it's a surprise for Shantae? Maybe it's a coat he has for Shantae and he wanted to surprise her with it. Anyway, he finally gets in his car. He drives off. Shantae calls him, "Hey, I'm 1 minute away. Where are you? I don't see you anymore. Where are you?" He says, "Oh, I got lost." She goes, "You got lost in Cape? Like this your hometown. How you get lost?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I got off on the wrong exit." Sir, you didn't get off on the wrong exit. You got off on a different exit because you had every intention on meeting with your friend. Your friend. Okay, anyway, at this point, we don't know what is to come with True. So I imagine we'll see during the next episode whether or not he gets house arrest or unfortunately incarceration. But Shantae girl, come on. I'm rooting for you. Next up, we have Christine and Julian. Okay, Christine, I may have been a little tough on her in my last recap, but Christine, I'm proud of you, girl. She got a job. She says she's working almost every day. She's making new friends. She's socializing. I think all of that is great. However, it does make me uncomfortable that she's working in a tavern, like she's working around alcohol and stuff. And we know that she has a history with substance abuse. I think her drug of choice was pills. So I don't know if she has an issue with other substances, but you know, it could be a slippery slope to be around, to be in a certain type of environment. So I'm curious what she's doing to maintain her sobriety. She does let us know that she is still living with Julian. They're still living together. And sometimes she has to hide upstairs on the third floor when his kids are over for about 5 or 6 hours because they do not know that she is there. She said it feels as if they're playing a game of hide and seek, but nobody finds her. Well, nobody finds you because they don't know that you exist. Apparently, according to Julian, he let his ex wife know that he was, when Christine was incarcerated, that he was dating her. And the ex wife went online, was doing research, found out who she was, and said, "Nope, my kids can't meet her. Nope. Or I need to meet her first." But none of this has happened. And she goes, "I can't even put up pictures of my family, of myself and my family. This is my home." He says, "You should be grateful." She says, "Grateful for what? To be in my home?" He gets really snappy with her. He grabs his things and he says, "I'm going to work." However, Julian is not going to work because Julian lost his job a week and a half ago. So when we see him in his car, he's actually he's in a job interview and he is currently living off of his severance pay and he's hoping to find a job before it runs out. Now, later on in the episode, Christine learns of his deceit because she says he comes to pick her up from work and he says, she says to him, "Oh, let's go out. You know, let's go out for a drink." And he goes, "Well, no, you go." And she goes, "Okay, by myself." And he goes, "Yeah." And she asks, "Well, are you gonna be upset with me if I go by myself?" And he says, "No, go." She's like, "Why? Why are you being like this? Why don't you want to come with me?" He says, "Well, I have a lot to do. I'm tired today. I'm tired from today, and I have a lot to do tomorrow. I got to take the kids to school tomorrow, and I have my interview." And she goes, "Your interview?" And he slips up and he goes, "Ugh." So she's like, "What are you talking about? What's going on?" Eventually, he says, "There's something I have to tell you." She goes, "Why are you lying?" And he says, he didn't initially tell her because he was worried about her sobriety. If he told her, he was worried that maybe she would feel so stressed out, she would get really anxious, maybe she might use again. She would be worried about how they were going to pay their rent, how they were going to pay the rest of their bills, and he didn't want to put that on her. That he didn't want to burden her with that. I mean, I get it, Julian, but you all are partners. We're not going to sneak around. Let's be honest. And again, what is Christine doing to help maintain her sobriety? That's part of her journey, okay? So can't put all of that on yourself. Oh, we also learned that Christine wants to be a comedian, stand-up comedian. I, I'm excited to see. We're gonna see a little bit of it next week. I believe we'll see her go to the comedy club, which also, again, being in certain types of environments can might be a struggle for somebody who is working to maintain their sobriety. And so I really hope that she is mindful of that, and she's maybe going to meetings or whatever it is that's helpful for her. I hope that that's what she's leaning into. But Christine and Julian have some work to do because Christine is still being hidden away. She's like hidden away in the tower, never to be seen again. So they have some work to do, figure it out, because I'm not going to be in a house, and this is the house that I share with you, and I can't put up photos of myself and my family. Also, Christine, are you making any effort? This is not a judgment. I just have a genuine question. Are you making, Christine, are you making any effort to actually see your kids? She mentioned that she has twins who live with their father in Ohio, and then her son lives with his lives with her mother in West Virginia. And so she has been out for maybe a month, I think, at this point. And I'm just curious if she was able to talk to her kids or see her kids. They didn't mention that. So I'm guessing no. I'm hoping she's doing what she can to stay on the right track and reestablish a relationship with her children. Also, speaking of children, True, I'm going to go back to True and Shantae for a second. True let us know that he has a 15-year-old. He said when he left, he could hold the baby in his palm. And he's like, now he's this big dude. And he missed all of those things, all of those milestone moments in the child's life, but also during the pregnancy when his ex was pregnant with his son. He missed it, which is another reason why he wants to be at the appointments with Shantae, because he didn't get to experience it the last time because he ended up being arrested and spending over a decade in prison. So we'll see what happens with that. Next up, we have Kim and Joey. Joey pissed me off. Joey pissed me off this week. Um, and he pissed me off because Kim lets us know. He pissed me off because of what he's doing with Kim's money, but also Kim pissed me off too. She lets us know that she spent $15,000 on Joey and he continues to spend her money. But it's not this extra cash flow she has. He's spending her savings, her life savings. You have kids. Heaven forbid if something happened to you, you want to make sure that they're okay. You want to put measures in so that your kids will be okay. Maybe your kids want to go to college or trade school when they are older. You want to have money set aside. Certain things might happen. Like, it's not just you. So, why are we letting this man go through, this person go through your life savings? Why would you give him your card? Oh, that pissed me off so much. So apparently, Joey helps Kim with the kids around the house. He's not working, he helps Kim with the kids. He takes them to and from school. And Kim says, well, get tires put on the car because I want the kids to be safe. He says, okay, no problem. He takes, of course, her card. He goes to the shop. He wants to get tires, but he already made up in his mind.
And give me some rims too. He said, throw some rims on that.
The guy said, okay, well, all in all, it's going to be 2,200. He said, no problem. I got it. I got it. And he gets it. And he doesn't care. He's like, Kim will be fine. She'll get over it. It's not a big deal. Sir, there's a whole family at play here. It's not just yourself. It is a big deal. You did not talk to her about it. Now, while he's at the shop, we learn that he's still communicating with his ex. The ex girlfriend is contacting him, texting him, you need to be with me. Why are you with Kim? We should be together. We should get back together. And he says, oh, I don't really text her back. Did you tell her to stop texting you? Did you block her? Or are you engaging in this because you feel so flattered? Because according to his friends, Joey used to be out here dipping it and doing it. His friends were like, we are so surprised that he is going to settle down and marry Kim because he was out here throwing some things. He was out here dipping and doing it. So are you dipping it and doing it with this ex? What's going on with this ex? It's inappropriate, Joey. These text messages are inappropriate. Not okay. Kim gets home. So later in the day or later in the episode, Joey returns home. Kim gets home and he's cooking. Kim says, she comes to the door. She says, "Where are the kids?" "Oh, they're with my mom." "Why are they with your mom?" Like, part of the agreement is that you're going to help with the kids. She goes, "And I saw your stuff out there talking about the rims." He goes, "Yeah, I wanted to give myself something." He wanted to do something nice for himself. You wanted to do something for you with her money? Sir, no. No, 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 no. Does not sit well with me. Doesn't sit well with Kim either because she says, "Give me my card." She goes, "We have things to pay for." They have a wedding ceremony, her dress, an engagement party. And he says, that's important to you. None of that stuff is important to me. We could go to the courthouse and get married. I don't care about any of that stuff. She goes, "You don't care?" He goes, "No, I don't care about any of that stuff. We can go to the courthouse and get married." So that infuriates her. That upsets her even more. She storms out of the kitchen. I bet you she's still gonna marry him though. But apparently next week she finds out about the text messages. So let's see how that plays out because Joey, you know you should not be texting your ex-girlfriend. Not in the way that you're texting her. It's inappropriate conversation. Okay. Next up, Arthur and Hope. Now, to be honest, Arthur and Hope were not one of my favorite couples. You know, sometimes I watch these shows and I'm like, I want those two to be together. I really want it to work out. And I didn't think that about Arthur and Hope. And here's why. Hear me out. I'm not a hater. Hear me out. Hope is pretty young. And I want Hope to go experience life. And instead, Hope is in a relationship with somebody who has to get their life together. And I think she needs to, at this point, manage her expectations because what she's hoping for, I don't think he's able to give her right now. He has a lot going on. The last time we saw Arthur, he appeared to be having a dissociative episode, okay? Um, Apparently, he started seeing a therapist. He's been out of prison for about a month now. He hasn't found a job yet. Hope says that some days he's just lying on the couch, that he doesn't do very much. Now, some of that could be part of, if he has depression, if some of that could be symptomatic. Not making excuses, just saying, "Hey, I don't expect that just because he's met with the therapist a few times that things have improved significantly right now." However, we want to be actively working on managing those symptoms so that we're not staying right where we are. And I believe Hope wants to see some effort from him. So they do go to a place of worship. Arthur is Muslim and he says he wants community. He's feeling lonely. He doesn't have community where he is and he's looking for that. So they go to a place of worship. He talks to the male religious leader. I can't remember. Is it called an imam? I can't remember the name of it right now. I apologize. But he talks to the male leader and then Hope eventually speaks to his wife separately. And Arthur is essentially saying that he wants community. He's asking questions. He seems to really be seeking connection, um, and just struggling. And oh, hope, eh, hope is gonna have to be patient with some things. So Hope does reveal to the wife that unfortunately, when she was about 11, she was first sexually assaulted by someone in the church. Like they were physically in the church, and it went on for about a year. And I imagine that plays a part in somebody's relationship with religion, relationship with God. Um, and so I'm hoping that she has worked through some of her trauma or is maybe continuing to work through some of her trauma so that she can also, live her best life as well. So, I do respect her for being respectful of Arthur's religion because they come from different religious backgrounds, of being respectful of Arthur's religion and being curious. She was open and she was honest. She was asking questions. And I thought that was great of her. And even though I said earlier, like, Hope is young and there are some things where sometimes her age shows, she also really seems to be supporting Arthur, not just financially, but supporting Arthur and showing up for him. And I think that's amazing. And I hope that she doesn't lose herself in the process. During the episode, we see that they go to a class, a sewing class, so that Arthur can learn and become more comfortable with using a sewing machine. Hope said she bought him a sewing machine. However, it hasn't gotten much use because he doesn't know how to use it. He's used to sewing by hand. That's how he would sew when he was incarcerated. So they go to a class. Things are going well. Hope brings up wanting to be proposed to, and he says, on bended knee, like, that's what you need? And she goes, yeah, like, I want that. I want that experience. I want that moment. He's like, we already did that. I proposed to you when I was in prison. She goes, that, that's not, that wasn't really a proposal. She wants the experience of on bended knee. He's like, nah, we don't need to do all that. And he goes, when the time is right. When the time is right, we'll do it. So he also says in his confessional, how can I marry her right now when I'm not whole myself? Mm, which is true. Again, he has some things to work through, significant things, significant challenges to work through. And we don't want to marry anybody with the idea that they complete us. No, no. You want to be whole and complete before you enter your partnership, that marriage or partnership. So she's kind of taken aback by this, like, what does this mean? And you could tell she kind of shut down a little bit because I think what she heard was, well, he doesn't actually want to marry me. But he's saying, I'm not in the state, I'm not in the position to marry her. Also, he says, she's still keeping me a secret. How can I marry you if you're still keeping me a secret? Which I agree with him. Hope, tell your people about this. Is another situation where they are just hiding the other person away. Tell your people about him. Let them meet. See what vibe they pick up. Listen, don't keep it a secret. That could come back to bite you. um, but I'm rooting for Arthur, whether they are together or not. I'm rooting for them, just like I'm rooting for freaking Shantae. So that's Arthur and Hope. What do you all think about this particular union? Maybe you see something in a different way than I do, um, which is why I also mentioned that whether they are together or not, I'm rooting for them. So we will absolutely see how this pans out because I see that there are ways where this could go all the way left. All right, and that is all for this week's recap. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. What do you think of the couple so far? Who do you think will make it, or at least make it to the marriage part, or who's going to stay together? Let me know. I'm curious. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that you come back for the next one. But